mini
today.
sheet. It was pretty cool.
So it's just been
And I just found
run
it
around
in the
a lot.
attic when we were cleaning something. I'm like, what's in this hanging bag?
Oh,
I know what that
I know
is.
what that is.
Okay, where is this?
It's just the way it works. Like this is somewhere. When you click into the actual text, it'll give you the actual.
Yeah, we got it.
But there's not.
There's not much to it.
There's not much to interpret.
Basics to it.
You're gonna be sitting all night.
I'd rather be sitting in my car.
You're saying how many years?
Why is that? Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's what just came up.
What's that?
Am I gonna leave randomly at 9:25? We're looking shit. What's up?
Yeah.
Probably start. How do we want to do roll calls and stuff tonight? I guess I can just do all in favor.
Exactly.
If there's going to be anything.
No, that's going to be a voice vote.
Okay. Not here. Tony aren't going to be here. Good. Ready? Okay, I will call to order the committee of the whole meeting for February 24th, 2026. First agenda item tonight is roll call, and we do not have a recording secretary, so if you just want to go around the room, I'm going to keep track of who's
State
not
my
here.
name or just say here?
Sure, you can just say your name.
Robin Braza, here.
Kevin Malone.
Christopher Sofa.
Alan Wolf.
Jimmy Garnbach.
Matt Anderson.
Bob White.
And we have a necessary quorum.
Christopher Sofa. And
All right, then reminder to please speak into the microphone if you come up to use the mic tonight. Item 3 would be a reminder to approval of the minutes for January 27th, 2026, February 10th, 2026, and February 16th, 2026. Any comments, notes, corrections, anything? Not, can I get a motion to recommend to council?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Then we move on to item 4, items to be removed, added, or changed. Nope. Do we have anything? Nope. Okay. We will go right on to item 5 for matters from the public. Items not on the agenda. I don't think there's anything. We'll go right to the consent agenda. Alderman Barron.
Thank you. The consent agenda reads as follows. Approvals, Cow Executive Session Minutes for January 27th, 2026, and February 10th, 2026. Resolution 2026-29-R, authorizing execution of Task Force Number 57 with Engineering Enterprise, Inc. for the Waterworks System Master Plan Update and Rate Study. Resolution 2026-31-R, authorization to execute 3-year RSA subscription. Resolution 2026-26-R, Gartner Service Agreement. Resolution 2026-25-R, approve agreement with Quad Plus for main substation testing. And Resolution 2026-23-R, authorizing execution of the 1-year renewable contract with Brightview Landscapes LLC for West Side property maintenance. I move we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Motion by Barron, second by Solfa. Any comments, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Carries. We'll move on to the regular agenda. First item is 7.1, Resolution 2026-24R, awarding a downtown improvement grant for Marco Limited Properties, 2 to 6 North Batavia Avenue, in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Thank you, Council. So we have the application that proposes electrical upgrades that's intended to improve the building safety and functionality. This is for the property at 2 through 6 North Batavia Avenue. The grant is not to exceed $25,000. I just wanted to highlight a slight change that we made on the online agenda. We updated in the resolution the second page after the memo. We changed that 57,000 to 25,000, so it was just more of a figure change. So we updated that in the resolution. It's also reflected on the website. In terms of the grant, we're recommending approval of the downtown improvement grant application submitted by Marco Limited Properties for the property located at 2 through 6 North Batavia Avenue in amount not to exceed $25,000, subject to compliance with all program requirements and completion of the approved scope of work. Tonight, we do have Michael Marconi here. He can talk a little bit about what he's going to do with the grant. He can also talk about some of the other projects that he has going on in the city of Batavia, and he's also available to answer any questions you all may have.
Hi. Thank you so much for considering us in this grant. We really appreciate it. As you all know, 2 to 6 North Batavia Avenue is sort of a cornerstone to the community. It's one of the first buildings you see when you drive through, and it's been here a long time, and it has a tremendous amount of history. Through the years, we've had a lot of, I guess, what you would call brownouts or power failures in that building that have really fatigued the service. And I know Jeff and his crew have told me many times that you got to upgrade the service. And not only do we want you to upgrade the service, but we want you to move the service. I don't know if any of you all are electricians. I'm not. But I can tell you it costs a lot of money to do that. And, you know, and why would we do it? In addition to making it a safer space, I have a lot of really great tenants in that building. And Batavia has a lot of great booming businesses in that community. You know, for one, there's an awesome dress shop on the corner. There's a great Thai restaurant. There is an awesome flower shop. You all probably know Farm Dog Flowers, who has expanded into what used to be the Book Nook, which was one of the first places I remember when I came to Batavia many, many years ago with my dad. And now we have a new business growing there, Rooted Home, who's taking place of what was Main Event. But in order for us to allow all these buildings to, or all these tenants to grow and expand, we need to upgrade the power. And it's very expensive, and we're just hoping that you all can see it in your hearts to help us with the grant. But I thought one of the things I would do, and I don't have enough of these, but I want you to see some of the projects we've been working on. Just recently, at our expense, we upgraded the parking lot at 222 for the Merck. And it was a great project. It was a project that needed to be done, but it was very expensive. And we did that all on our dime, and I think that was in excess of $50,000. In addition to that project, we also recently upgraded one of our spaces for a photographer at 10 East Wilson, which was awesome, and that was just renovation. And also a great project, which we don't want to forget, is what we did to the building at 107 East Wilson, which is where the GOAT is now. If you all remember that, that was Sage Accounting back in the day. And I'll never forget when I walked in that building, the broker called me up and said, hey, maybe get a shot at this one. And I called up Jeff, and he's like, yeah, you got to go over there. He's like, I don't know what's going on upstairs there, but I think the guy's trying to convert it into an apartment. And he sure enough was trying to convert this thing into an apartment. I had a vision of a sandwich shop. It was my own vision. I thought maybe I could open a sandwich shop, but the guys from the GOAT came, and they, you know, that was a private, and, you know, me and the tenant paid to fix that, and they did a wonderful job, and we contributed, and it was awesome. In addition, if you see what Farm Dog Flower has done through the years, I mean, by taking over, you know, what was Pretty Pages, by blasting through that wall, not literally blasting, but by cutting through the wall, we've allowed them to grow. And in order to keep that moving forward, we have to upgrade the electricity. And then, of course, I think one of the things I really like to highlight is what we just recently did with the Good Energy mural, which was a perfect example of how the private people and the city can work together. We had a wall there that I always thought we could activate. And by the way, the next wall that I really think we could activate is on the side of the Anderson building. What a great spot for a mural that would be. So that's sort of my story. And, I just wanted you all to know that we really care about Batavia, Marco Limited, and Batavia Buildings and O&I Properties, and we care about our properties, and, we care about Batavia. So what questions can I answer?
Yeah, first off, a comment, thank you. It's nice to see sort of historic buildings. It's a heavy lift to take over a historic building, and so I personally appreciate the fact that you're putting the time, effort, and energy to keep the buildings, up to date, occupied, and that's what I love to see, and I really want to thank you for that. As for this particular grant, what sort of is the longevity of this type of upgrade? Do we anticipate this keeping the building current for 10 years, 20 years, indefinitely?
I can't answer that question because I'm not an electrician, but what I can tell you is it costs a lot of money, and I have to imagine it's going to outlast me and you. The last electric service, 50 years. And by the way, it's not just what you see outside the building that needs to be, upgraded. Several of the boxes inside of the building all have to be taken out. New services have to be run. The Thai Village is constantly having issues over there, and the dress shop has issues with the air conditioning. And then I know Garrett at Farm Dog has done some things with the cooler downstairs that have taxed the service a little bit more. The service that was initially installed in there 50 years ago was never set up to do what's being done now. It was a dry goods store. And through the years, I know it was upgraded here and there, but this is a major upgrade. And I have to imagine, just from a layman's perspective, and what Olson, who would ultimately do the job, has told me, this is probably a 25 to 30-year service. Again, unless somebody comes in and says, I want to convert the building into a data center, and then, then you got to do, who knows what you have to do. But based on what's in there, we can't add more units to the building. So I don't see anybody ever putting, and the way things are flowing, there's less demand on electric, right? We put in new energy efficient lights and we do this. So I think this will last for some time, and it will be clean, and it will be in a better spot on the back of the building.
Again, that tells me that by us helping you keep this building updated, that it'll keep sort of this iconic building occupied, cared for, and it really kind of helps us help you keep this moving. Because
the other thing that I really want to do on this building, I just have to find somebody who can help me do it, and maybe you all know somebody, but I need to move the drain. And I haven't been able to do that in part because of where the electricity is, right? It's right in the way of where this awful, I don't know who installed that thing. It was, and I'm not going to blame that on my dad, but it was, we know that Joe could have done a lot of different things, but I don't know how it happened, but it's just to me, it looks like a piece of metal on the side of the building. And I think it could be something more attractive. And I think, again, to me, that side of the building, when you drive into town, again, we activate it with a mural, we move the power looks better, we move that god-awful downspout, and it helps us, it helps the downtown.
I'll say, I think the infrastructure, anytime we have infrastructure work that's done on a building, that's going to stay with the building, and probably, like you say, beyond your ownership, it'll be there for 50 years. Having walked by there enough times, I would say that's probably more than 50 years, some of the stuff on the side of that building.
Well, I've been talking to Jeff about it probably for 7. So I would imagine that electricity has been there for at least 40-ish years, if not longer.
Are any of the tenants sharing any of the lines or electric, or do all the units have their own electrical boxes and electric with them?
Everybody in that unit, everybody in that building has their own electric service. There's a couple common meters which I pay for, but those are meters which I have a laundry room in that building, so I pay for that. The lights in the hallway upstairs I pay for. There are probably some aspects of the basement that I may pay for, but otherwise There's all electric meters for their own units, and actually Pretty Pages had their own electric service, and Farm Dog now it pays for both of those. And again, as part of this project, there are several pieces of infrastructure within each one of those units that will be upgraded. I know the city and Olson worked together to sort of identify what was obsolete and what needed to be rectified. So it's not just, we didn't just go in and say, oh, let's just upgrade this. No, it's something that is clearly defined, and we're trying to address every single thing.
Yeah, it sounds like the building has evolved, technology's evolved, and those meters and it's very common in older properties to have that sort of work done.
Same.
Yep.
Other comments or questions for Michael? Thank you.
Thank you. It was very nice to talk to you all.
Any comments or questions for Anthony?
I think I just wanted to just highlight the fact that the city is actually proud to be able to issue these types of grants as investments to our historical downtown. Obviously, you can see that we have some really great tenants in these buildings, and we got some really great character in our properties, and being able to assist with some of that development, assist with some of those upgrades to those properties, such as the electrical upgrades, we can see how important that is. And we can see the long-term effects of how it could improve our business community, but also improve the structure of our properties that we have in Batavia that we're so proud of. So thank you so much for considering this grant tonight for Michael Marconi.
Real quick question. In terms of the grant, where is it coming from again, just so everybody knows where the money's coming from?
It's no longer out of TIF 1, right? It's general fund?
Anthony, do you know the source of the funds for this TIF? I'm sorry, this grant?
Yeah, so this one comes from the TIF. I believe it is TIF 3.
Yeah,
So
this
there's
building is
there is some out of
located in
TIF
3.
Yeah, so this is part of the TIF
Yes.
3.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, we have tips for.
Yep,
That's right.
exactly. Well, and like I said, I think anytime we put money into infrastructure in a building, it's not just paint, it's not just trim, it's not new carpeting, it's
Something that's going to be
going to be there for whoever's there in 30, 40, 50 years. So I think that's a great idea and a good use of the money. Okay. Would like to make a motion to recommend to council?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Solfa, second by Malone. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Will be on Monday night's agenda.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. All right, then we will move on to 7.2, which is the discussion on revisions to the Gateway Improvement Grant.
So speaking of grants, this is actually a nice segue. As you all know, TIF 1 has now dissolved, so we no longer have the revenue and the advantage of having a TIF district in a substantial part of our downtown. And we have been kicking around what to do about that because we know that there's still businesses that need and want grants in the downtown. We have the Gateway Grant program that we started a few years back, and honestly, that's really met with moderate success, the way it's been structured right now. And so what we are proposing to do is to modify that grant program and change it a little bit. We're looking to call it a downtown enhancement grant and to really concentrate it in the areas in downtown that are not located in a TIF district. So essentially everywhere that TIF 1 was and anywhere that is outside of any of the existing TIF districts that's adjacent to commercial properties in downtown, we're looking to change the geography of that so that it's just in those areas. We think that that's more bang for our buck because that's where we seem to be getting the demand and the request for grants as part of that. We're also looking to modify the program a little bit. We want to give a little bit more money because the program, because it's not a TIF and it's a general fund type of grant, we can fund for things that are outside the building, like landscaping and parking lots and things like that. We can, so, that is an eligible, those are eligible activities under the Gateway Grant program, so we would keep those types of things. But because of that, we're proposing to bump up the amount of the maximum grant from $20,000, which is the current program, to $25,000. So that helps cover some of those expenses a little bit better. We're also looking to change the grant period from 10 years to 15 years because that's really better following the cycle of, where, people would be, redoing buildings and types of things, but it also prevents it from being used for maintenance purposes, which isn't really the idea behind it. So we have also reviewed the program guidelines. We haven't put together an ordinance yet because we just wanted to float this by the council first to make sure that you're in line with it. And I'll come back with an ordinance that will adopt the changes. We have run it through Main Street and the Chamber both. They have added some comments and a few things that they wanted to see in here, and so we did modify the guidelines based on that. So that would be one of the things that at least we got input from that group as well. And we do know that, in line with the 15 East Wilson Street, we kind of had a very unique situation with that, with a redevelopment that happened. That was a general fund grant of $150,000 for the new restaurant that may be going in there. So we know that that's kind of an unmet demand for grants, and Laura and I have talked about that, and we will be coming back to you with another program later on that will kind of address that situation, because we already have that in the TIF districts themselves for redevelopment agreements type of thing with like QT9. So we would come back with another program that would be similar to that, but in areas that are not in the TIF district. So that's kind of the summary of what we're proposing. We are hopeful that this is acceptable, and that we will come back with an ordinance for you, and we're willing to take any questions or comments that you have.
Just a quick question for clarification. When you say grant period going from 10 to 15 years, is that saying that if a business or building owner takes out a grant, they can't get another one for another 15 years?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Also for clarification here, on page 3, we have our little map here. The green hashed areas in the map in the packet would be who would be eligible for this.
Correct. That's
so
right.
if a building is within a TIF district, they would not be eligible because they'd go for TIF money.
That's correct.
Instead, if they're next to a TIF district in one of these hashed green areas, they would then be eligible. Is that
That's absolutely correct. And we'll make the map a little clearer, because it's when photocopies, it doesn't reproduce it all that well.
Wasn't
But
perfect.
yes.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. Did the funds for the Gateway Improvement Grant originally come from general funds? That always did.
They always did.
And so we had budgeted $30,000 a year since 2019, but we only spent 67. Do we have that fund has built up over time? Do we have?
No,
or
it's
we
just once the year's over, it's gone. So.
And the red boundaries that kind of extended the Gateway Grant, outside of our downtown proper. I mean, the one area that I feel a little lost for is the South River Street corridor, since we just passed that plan.
Right. Well, the idea behind that is that with the plan, we've talked about creating a new TIF district, business development district, or special service area. So that's going to be coming separately also. So we were aware of that, and that's going to be a new program that will come forward later on. So.
In terms of just the moderate success that you mentioned with the Gateway Improvement Grant in general, how was it marketed, and how will we market this one differently?
Yeah, so the original one, we actually sent information to all of the property owners within the boundary, and we've have it on our website and everything else. But we sent individual mailers to everybody back when we first started that program, and again, we didn't have a lot of interest. We had, I think 5 grants total over that period of time. So, but this one would be similar. We would broadcast it, broadly. We have a little more ability to do that with some of the, website things that we have going. And we could certainly do an individual mailer or something like that too, if that's of interest as well.
And you went through this quickly, but just to confirm that this new one will cover the signs and facade and the improvements that all the other grants always used to.
Yeah, it actually is a little larger because TIF grants because of the state law, can't cover certain things. So the Gateway program covers other exterior things like landscaping, parking lots, and things like that. So there's actually a few more things that this program does cover.
And will this be one of the applications that we digitize in the future
Yes,
too?
yes.
Okay, awesome.
If I could just add a little bit additional to Scott's response, we're also partnering with Main Street to make sure that they have a good knowledge of what our grant programs are, so that they may see opportunities as they're interacting with these businesses and hearing plans for expansion and what have you, and they'll be able to identify opportunities for these grants to be given to those businesses as well.
I'm sorry, Leah.
Just clarification on who is eligible to apply for this grant, because earlier in the memo, it mentions business owners. And then later, when it's talking about the 10 to 15 years, it mentions property owners. And those are two different entities. So like,
Yeah, so the business owner or the property owner could apply for the grant. If it's a business owner, normally they have to have the owner sign the form to authorize that they're applying for it. The eligibility would be based on a per property basis, because those where the physical improvements are being done.
so if a business turns over after 10 years, then that property would not be eligible again for a grant.
If they've used
for
all the
additional
grant
5
funds,
years.
that's correct. Yes, right. Yeah. And now what we have done is if they haven't used all the grant funds, so let's say they applied for a grant and they only need $8,000, the balance of that is still eligible to be paid out.
Did you have your hand up?
Quick question on the business registry. Given that we're going to have another grant program, and it sounds funny that we had money left over. I mean, 30,000 is not a lot to spend on something like this per year. And if we have money left over, I'm assuming people didn't know it was an option. So I think we do need the business registry. Have we talked to Main Street about it and stuff? I mean, is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's on our agenda to talk about is bringing back business registration. So we just have not, landed the plane on that one yet, but it is on our radar, absolutely.
And then my serious question, can I run into the flooring place on 25 and paint their sign pole for them? That's been driving me nuts for 15 years.
Kevin?
How rigid are we envisioning these boundaries to be? So as kind of maybe new TIF districts come or old ones expire, and maybe as new areas open up to commerce and others?
They will have to be fungible to an extent because of the fact that, we all know we're trying to create TIF 7. So some of the area, the geography here would change in that. But there also may be some land use changes that we have that may say we're going to take a residential area and put it into commercial. So if that happens, we would come back to council and say we need to amend this boundary because it's adjacent to downtown and all that. So it would be, the initial one. But if we have somebody that changes the land use or the TIF districts change the boundary, yeah, we would have to address that. Absolutely.
Okay, and that would be a council decision?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a question. If by chance the state decides to change what they've got on the table right now and changes that, how would that affect these areas that we already have that are designated and as they are for whatever the underlying zoning is, and they decide to change that? Could that then put somebody in the possibility where they could come in and ask for a grant to help to build a multi-unit building?
If it's within the boundary, that won't change that. I mean, they would still be eligible for it. If it's another property that's adjacent, then we would have to amend the boundary as part of that. So
the way that works, obviously, and I've been looking into this, and I imagine we'll be talking about it very shortly. For commercial units, for multi-unit buildings, if you're greater than 4 units, you're considered commercial. If you're under 4 units, you're still considered a residential property, from what I understand.
Right, under the building code, correct.
Yeah.
Comments or questions? I think this is fine to keep this part of the grants going, so that way we hopefully get them in front of more people and more people take advantage of them.
Yeah, I guess just from a comment perspective, I really like this idea. I think it's a great way to sort of expand things. The one gateway grant that I vividly remember, maybe because I drop my child off there every day, is Mill Creek. And I do see now that like Mill Creek and anything kind of farther down that way would be out. So we are losing some areas that would be gateways. So we are losing a little bit of the gateway thing, though I do think this is a pretty good plan. I would support it as it is. I just personally like flexibility. I like the idea of the more people who can make their case, and that is the better. So
We can always expand it in the future.
sure.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll prepare an ordinance and we'll be back in front of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, then we'll move on to Resolution 2026-30R, authorization for an execution of contract with Landmark Contractors for construction of the River Street Plaza site work.
Hello all. I think we might need some new batteries in here. Let me pull up this really quick. So this is the contract to actually go ahead and move forward with construction of the River Street Plaza that we've been looking into and building. We got our permits and everything figured out, and so we're ready to go ahead and move ahead on this. The bathroom has already been in work. We're using a company based out of Canada called Urban Blue. It's a prefabricated public restroom that is self-cleaning and has a number of features to it. And then the broader part of it was thinking about some of the things that we need around the farmers market and around this area of town. We were very intentional about trying to add a good amount of seating to the River Street area, provide a third space for some people to go hang out after a show or before a show. Just kind of make it an area where people can hang out, have a good time, and gather together. So a couple of things I'll point out here is we moved bike racks as part of the ramp project. Those have been moved here. This is also going to be a bike fix-it station, so we're adding that as part of this. This are some nice planters with a bench on them, seating here, here, and here. This will be some public artwork, and then this will be a nice limestone cropping that also serves as a retaining wall to help protect some of the property back here and the retaining wall back here. This whole area throughout here is going to be kind of this native pollinator planting area. We have the same planters that we have along River Street here and here, kind of entering the plaza. This wall here, it's not a wall, it's more of a punched metal fence, provides screening so it doesn't feel as close to the adjacent uses that long-term are definitely going to change. It's hopefully not always going to be a 3-bay garage forever. And then also same down here, we'll have a trellis wall with kind of vines and leaves and whatnot on there. Everything came right around budget. So we're right at what we had budgeted for this year for this project. The contract would be awarded to a company based out of Huntley. They've done some work on the, I want to say Aurora or Elgin landscaping plans and kind of their streetscape work. So they have knowledge and experience on streetscape work before. Happy to answer any questions about this project. I'm really excited for us to get going, and I don't have an exact timeline yet. We kind of have to do some of the site work first, then the bathroom, then the rest of the site work, and then finish it all up. So we're trying to kind of stage things out and understand that more. But once we get through with this, we'll have an understanding of what the contractor's mobilization timeline is, see how that fits in with the bathroom delivery and whatnot, and kind of make sure we're trying to get this open as early in the year as possible.
Quick question, who's installing the bathrooms?
That is a responsibility of the contractor who we are hiring for this. Urban Blue also sends out their own people to make sure that it's being installed right. So it's it kind of combined. The contractor is going to do all the prep work and the site work, but Urban Blue will actually make sure that it's like installed and runs properly and commissioned.
So they're making the connections and everything to it?
I'll double check on that, but I know the contractor is putting in all the pipes and the work. I think Urban Blue makes the final connections. They just kind of plop the building down.
And make
it comes on a concrete pad. Okay. So then it's, plug and play, I guess.
Yeah, our contractor will be bringing a crane in to set the bathroom once it's ready for that. I know Chris Bong will be running this from engineering for the construction aspect of it, and just trying to figure out all those details is when to set the brick and to not get it destroyed and damaged during the process. So once we get through the approval process, we'll start setting up a pre-con with them and go from there.
I just didn't see it in their breakouts. I was just curious. So, okay.
Let the record reflect Alderman Lohman is now with us at 7:35. Welcome. We are on the plaza contract. Alderman Lehman?
The garage that's on the north side of the complex, who owns that?
We do.
We do. And
currently, that's a lot of the downtown maintenance equipment. So things that are used to maintain River Street, some wintertime equipment. I think we have some windmills being repaired in there as well. So it's a pretty important storage area for us. That's kind of why we need to keep it for now. One of the things long-term is likely with the police department moving out, that would potentially free up the garage back there to be moving that, put this up for development, and we own the property also to the north of that as well. So this is long-term redevelopment property is the intent behind it.
great. Yeah. So then that's short term, it's still there, but long term potentially will.
And that's the intent. Exactly. That's the intent behind some of it, is that the uses adjacent to it will improve over time. Mm-hmm. The thought is, you come across the bridge, you have the ramp, you have the plaza, and you kind of go from there as the properties develop over time. We own the Larson Becker parking lot. We own the property to the north of this. So there's some redevelopment opportunities there long term that by putting additional public investment into the area, you show what's possible and hopefully continue that momentum that we're building over in that area as well.
I'm glad to hear it's within budget. I also like how the master plan is attached as an exhibit on the agenda. I have seen some comments that people have made about, I can't believe they're just putting in bathrooms, things like that. If we could do maybe just a link on the main city page so they can just click on this and see how nice this looks.
Yeah, Lori is working on, we're going to do, we've had some interest both from the media and residents, so we're going to do some PR around this once you guys approve it. We went out and got this type of, we'll call it a rendering or a concept plan to show that it's not just bathrooms. Truly, that's almost secondary to the project. It's the seating, the gathering space. There's a lot of,
it's an addition to River Street.
Exactly. It'll be the exact same brick types that we have on River Street. That is why, it did come in above engineer's estimate, but we had to use very specific materials in certain circumstances. Labor costs are expensive. Every single one of these bricks is going to be hand laid. So it's a lot of labor and work, but it's something that we're very proud of how much we were able to program into this small space and kind of turn it from what was the tin shop and but still keep a lot of the character.
Yeah, I just think that it would delay a lot of these maybe unfounded concerns that we're putting outhouses in,
No, we'll also be we'll also have a sign up in the front area. That's one of the things we're working on as part of this year's communication engagements is we'll put a Building a Better Batavia sign that has a lot of this information on it. So as people are walking around and looking at it during the farmer's market, they actually know what to expect from this and how it was funded, why we're doing it, et cetera.
Thank you.
Yeah, from a use perspective, first off, great. I love everything about this. As sort of Thursday nights or Sunday nights when River Street's closed down for shows, this is going to be incredibly inviting. We're going to have the cafe lights. People are going to want to go sit there. Are they going to be able to carry their drinks they've purchased, their alcoholic drinks they've purchased at one of our shops down there across that street over to the plaza? Or is it going to be sort of a different use case there?
Probably we would have to adjust our current rules because right now we restrict the alcohol consumption to between the barriers, and when the street is closed, it's ordinarily closed on the south side of State Street.
One of the things, we were somewhat intentional in designing this, thinking about, we've had conversations with Main Street about something called a DORA, designated outdoor refreshment area. The thought is, where would we put it? What are some of the considerations from a police department standpoint, from others that we would need to meet? Some of the things in here are that it's kind of a confined one entrance, one space. We are intending potentially probably to put a camera somewhere in this plaza to cover it, just because there's a lot of infrastructure and it's a bathroom area, people can do things in there. But that also adds to potential for that sort of use there, knowing that somebody is essentially watching it if they need to while people are enjoying beverages or whatever. That's something we can talk about. I know we do have flexibilities in our code if there's a specific event for an organizer to talk to us and we can make those exceptions and make those work. That was one of the things we did with our liquor code, was really kind of give ourselves flexibilities for on a per event basis. So, if Sidecar, if, whoever wanted to do something there, they should reach out to us and we can definitely work with them to try to make something happen.
Yeah, I'm just sort of anticipating, those Thursday nights when trivia's going on, it's hundreds of folks, and, the bathrooms in Sidecar aren't the most accessible. So I can definitely see people going the other way, and I'd hate to kind of play gotcha with them or something. So making that clear and helping where we can, I think would be beneficial. That's all.
Yeah, to be a little bit of a downer, I know we had the request for a bid that went out for the empty property next to where the plaza is going to go in, and we didn't get any response to it. My question is, after we get this in, and now that we've demolished the tin shop, now that we're going to get this plaza in, is it possible just to, quite frankly, just stick on pictures of the old RFP and reissue it? See if that draws attention.
So we have actually had interest from at least 2 entities for the rest of the property. So we're in various discussions with some people about that. Nothing's come to contract or anything like that. And obviously when that happens, we would come to you. But there is interest in that property to do some type of a mixed use development. So even though they didn't apply as part of the RFP, we're confident that something will be coming hopefully soon.
That's what putting additional, all of this is TIF funded. The ramp was TIF funded. This project is TIF funded. Putting that money into an area using TIF and building long-term public investments helps grow additional investments and development from private entities. So kind of reactivating the area, we did a lot of the River Street work over time. TIF came to an end. We had a lot of money, or a good amount of money sitting in the TIF to kind of make some improvements in the area. So at points we had talked about catenary lighting, we had talked about public restrooms, and to see a number of these come to fruition and have it be a strategic plan item as well is something that I think we should all be pretty proud about.
I'm happy to see a park on that side of the street rather than give up riverfront or developable property. Yeah, this would be nice if this was attached to the other one and it was a big development, but there really wasn't any screaming, when we put that RFP out for the other land to the north. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this will entice somebody to want to be next to it. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I think we need to have that door discussion this year to decide how we're going to do that, because I'll just say from experience down there, I spent a lot of time the last couple of years sitting down there during farmers markets and watching people walk around with drinks. And down there on Sunday nights for bluegrass, or the other times I've been downtown and watched, and I haven't seen it abused. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but people kind of like that area and they like to be able to do that and move around and sit at another spot. And this will definitely be someplace that people are going to go to, in those situations. So I think it's something that we really need to discuss, even if we just start it in one spot downtown. And if it can control it and the public will be good about it, then we can expand it into other areas. But this is one where I think it makes perfect sense to have something like that.
We can definitely re-engage with, we were talking primarily with Main Street. We can definitely re-engage with them and loop in the police department to see kind of what we can think about and put together. I think, like I said, a lot of the things that were concerns originally, this type of design and concept helps alleviate hopefully a lot of the concerns. So definitely something that we could start with and see if we can bring up a concept for this area.
And Main Street is aware of the construction schedule, because I know that'll be ending about the time they are ready to start.
We will keep them fully informed kind of as things move along. Like Andrew said, we're still kind of getting up and running as to what the schedule will and could look like. We're hoping to obviously have more of the to the extent able, heavy construction earlier in the project. That's a lot of the grading, the utility work, the crane, and then a lot of it is brickwork, curbing, et cetera.
And we are in constant conversation with them regarding banners and streetscape and stuff like that. So this will work its way right into those conversations.
Because I know I'll get questions about it.
And we've also talked to them about where their kiosk is going to be located as well, because it had to be relocated. So we're going to kind of set it up over there once everything is set and completed.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, somebody want to make a motion that we recommend to council resolution 2026-30R, authorization for execution of a contract with Landmark Contractors Incorporated for construction of the River Street Plaza site work.
Moved.
Second. By Lehman, second by Sofa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. I think we should put that on a regular agenda and talk about it.
Okay.
Because again, it's good to talk about it so people don't have preconceived ideas. We're going to have the nicest bathrooms in Fox Valley that are public.
I have a neighbor that likes to ride the trail, and I was talking to him about the ramp and then told him, oh, we're going to have a bathroom down there. He thought that was amazing because it's a long stretch. And so a biker coming in from out of town, I think he'll gain a lot of use to that way. And we're adding it to our public property schedule, and we'll be monitoring the cleanliness of it and what we need to do if we need to get our cleaner out there on occasion during the week. So it's something that Scott Haynes is going to be taking a note on.
I believe the next public restroom on the trail heading north on that side is South Elgin.
There's a porta potty in Geneva. Yeah.
If you hit Glen Ellen on the trail, you got
Sorry.
One last note. We thought about this as an opportunity to make it a pit stop for people who are on long bike rides or walks or runs to stop, use a bathroom, park their bike, stop and get a coffee or visit River Street. Or I haven't been through this area. Oh, wow, they've really done a lot of cool things down here. So not just as a amenity, but also as a hopeful economic development driver as well.
That's a great place to have the kiosk that shows the rest of the stuff that's downtown. And within, 2 minutes, where can you go?
Yes. Working on that with Main Street.
Okay. Now we're to city council updates, project status.
All right. We are planning to hold a special committee of the whole meeting after the city council meeting on March 16th to discuss the public comments that we have received on the integrated resource plan and then direction for next steps. So Max is going to be getting out a list of public comments to you and the answers to questions that were asked as part of that process. The final 2 building permits for the Winding Creek subdivision have now been issued, so that is all built out in such a quick period of time. It's amazing. Also, the request for proposals for exterior building conditions assessment of significant properties within the historic district closed on Friday, February 13th. We received 23 submittals, so we're in the process of reviewing those proposals and anticipate bringing a preferred consultant forward for the city council approval in March or April with the goal of initiating the property assessments beginning in May. Human Resources has been very busy scheduling interviews for all of the open positions that we have right now. In Public Works, Engineering has a request out for the speed study and stop sign locations for Branson Drive from McKee to Fabian, related to the Winding Creek subdivision. We wanted to wait until we had a significant number of those homes occupied before we did that study. So this was on the radar after that bridge went in there to connect both sides of Branson Drive. And we knew that that was definitely going to change traffic patterns in that area. So we'll utilize that to inform whether any changes need to be made. Likely they do. Main substation work is commencing and anticipated to be completed by the end of May. And then also engineering has set the public information meeting for March 10th at City Hall for the sidewalk Safe Routes to School projects at Willow and Blue Stem between Lexington and Chilham in Ward 1. The police department has completed installation of the Axon Fleet 3 in-car cameras. And following installation, the Axon body-worn camera and squad car camera programs are live, and officers are utilizing the new high-tech equipment in the field, and they love it. It really is a huge improvement over the previous system. The department also compiled documents for the police record digitization project. These records were picked up by the city's contracted vendor, who over the coming months will be digitizing all of these documents. And the most important thing about this is it's freeing up significant space and making the documents much easier to search and locate when they are needed in the future. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
I don't have kind of, not a question, but a request. Now that they have that Axon camera set up and running, if we could talk somebody in the department to come and give us a, operational display of it, show us how it works, and maybe even so that the public can see it, or maybe talk to Lori and have that beyond us getting to see it, have something to show the public how that works. In practical use where they can translate with it, where it goes on when one officer comes up to another in a situation. I think it'd be really good for everybody to see that.
Okay.
To know what all that money goes for and why they like to use it.
Sounds
why
good.
It's a good thing. Jim?
Yeah, so we have a new monkey in the middle, right? So we have Illinois House Bill 5626, which as written, and it's not too hard a bill to follow, is proposing to, dramatically change how we do residential zoning, right? And it is aggressive. There is a potential implementation date of January 1st, 2027 listed in the bill, right? So meaning, I think people are rightfully concerned, given the level of change and the lack of warning, I think, as far as like when it would hit. My caution would be this is a nonpartisan governing body. So we kind of have to treat this just at the level of change that it actually is, okay? And just kind of leave any feelings on the table. I will say, I don't think this has landed without people being pre-known. I know in my ward, one of the iconic houses we pass every day, it's been purchased by somebody in the real estate industry, and they're asking to divide it. They're already asking to subdivide it into 4 different rental units. Okay, so I think the horse is out of the barn, so to speak. Whether this passes or not. My request would be let's just have a briefing on it with our legal guidance and just take it seriously and not wait to see if it's going to pass or not. Given the fact that how it was broached, the fact that it has a date on it, to me kind of says this is very likely going to happen. So that's my take on it.
So I would say 2 things with that. We are members of 2 organizations who are right there where legislation is being made. One of those is the Illinois Municipal League. Brad Cole is typically with legislation that is this impactful to municipalities. He literally is sitting down with the legislators who are crafting what this ultimately will be, which is to say that oftentimes things change a lot between the time that they are introduced and then ultimately what ends up getting passed. And the other organization is our Council of Government, which is Metro West Council of Government that includes DeKalb, Kane, and Kendall counties and represents all of the municipalities within those regions. As well, we have our legislative consultant. And so that is another group that we will definitely be representing our interests in the legislation, but I'll be glad, I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse of that. I'm actually, this year I started to be on the legislative committee for Metro West, and I know that this is going to be very important legislation, so I will be happy to keep everyone apprised of where it heads.
Have we contacted our state reps?
I thought that it would be important for us to have a discussion so that I understood from this body's perspective what they would want to be communicated to our elected officials.
I think we should have that discussion at the next COW meeting. Before this gets any further in the process downstate, I think we should try to formulate an idea of what we think of it as a body, to be able to try to determine what tact we want to take with this. Because you're right. I mean, to me, it looks like they've got enough support that this could be reality, or some form of it is probably going to go through. Where that ends up, who knows? But as it sits right now, it's kind of scary to think about what could happen here.
Why?
Because anybody could buy any piece of property and go to maximum density on it, and we don't have anything to say about it.
I think that's why we need to have a discussion.
Yeah.
Clarify those things.
And I can understand from the standpoint of a corporation, but I think if there is somebody in the community that is able to do something like that, invest in the company, in the community, I think that is an important aspect. So there's definitely two sides of it.
With the density, I just would like to have more control of the density locally here.
And I think this gets down to the point to where it'd be great to get that briefing before we talk about it.
And the briefing on what specifically?
What is outlined in the bill and what that means.
I think I've been providing you with all of the information this week about all of the analysis that has been provided up to this point.
Yeah, no, I looked at it, and the bill's pretty plain, pretty plain, Jane.
Yeah, if anything changes, I will let you know.
Yeah, okay.
That's all.
I just noted, I'm sure anybody on my side of town has noticed that they fixed the sign over at the old 7-Eleven to make it look like that store is coming in. And then I've had positive comments, negative comments, only because the store says liquor. And so my understanding is that they not only are taking the old 7-Eleven, but the unit next to them.
Correct.
And it's not just a giant liquor store that sells cigarettes. It's an actual big pantry that happens to sell liquor like 7-Eleven used to, correct?
We shall see.
Okay. And when is the estimated?
They are saying that it is a convenience store that sells liquor.
Like 7-Eleven. So a generic 7-Eleven that is called Windmill, whatever it's called. And when's the estimated arrival time now?
We don't have one.
We don't know. They're still constructing it on their own, so we don't have a date yet.
And it is going to be operated by the ownership of the plaza now.
No,
it's not.
It's a separate tenant.
Rosati's
Yes,
is the
Rosati's is the ownership.
Rosati owns the plaza.
The center.
The
Parent company of the Rosatis there.
The plaza owner bought the Rosati's business.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
After they broke the window.
About a month and a half ago?
I think it's still boarded. Yeah.
Right when they drove through, made it a drive-through?
Yep, around that time.
Around that time.
I think we gave him his liquor license, and then literally like 3 or 4 days later, yeah, it was bad.
This is what Max was saying. I have not dug into our liquor code or gaming license, but how does that work when ownership changes?
They are allowed to transfer those as long as it's being operated as a similar business.
So
we did the same thing with Crosstown.
So with ownership changes, typically what we do is they are required to submit a new application. And, so long as it's essentially the same use, usually it's a stock transfer sale. So they're changing hands of ownership. The building is, or the business is operating the same usually. They are given a renewal, or they're given a license to continue out that term. We just reflect the new owners. They pay either the full fee or a prorated fee. But then all new, starting from scratch businesses come to city council.
The new owner doesn't have to prove themselves to have these licenses in town.
They don't have to have the waiting period that other businesses do because it's tied to the liquor license. So long as the next business opens within a year, that they can get the transfer of that license.
And then is there anything special within our ordinance that says, like, when there's a property or a transfer like that, where there's a few extra special visits that year or some extra oversight or anything? Or
No, they've just become part of, I believe 2 times per year, the police department does checks
Same
on
as anybody
all of the
else.
businesses with regard to liquor and video gaming.
We require, regardless, full background checks and fingerprints for all of the new owners. But what it also allows us to do is we can use that to, one of the things we changed in our code was allowing us to kind of hold up or address safety code issues, property code issues, fire code issues, outstanding fines, fees, and debts. So part of the transfer from ownership is that allowed us an opportunity to take a look at a lot of these violations, get these things taken care of as part of that. So a lot of the improvements you're seeing was because of the changes we were able to put in place. And that's why it took a while for them to kind of get through everything, because we were requiring a lot of these improvements to be made on their property.
that's good. And maybe someday when we revisit our gaming and liquor license, it's just something to consider. Because even like when a restaurant opens a new place, even if you're an established restaurant owner, the health department does extra visits in your first year of establishment, just to make sure you know what you're doing, that your establishment is running as it should. And once you pass those 3 additional visits that first year, it goes down to 2 the next year, and then it tapers off. So I guess I'm just kind of surprised that we don't have anything like that set up for something that's important as liquor and gaming, so.
I'm glad they fixed the sign and fixed the parking lot and painted the building, so I'm.
Yeah.
And I'm glad too that we can go back in and ask for all the code violations, the past due bills and everything else to be taken care of before you reissue or transfer the license. Exactly. Because I think that in history here, there's been times when people just walk away from it because they owe everybody.
And we're also in the middle of renewals right now. We're on a April through whenever cycle, so renewals will be issued at the end of April. We also have sent letters out to any business that is like behind on their utility bills, hasn't filed liquor taxes, has known outstanding code issues, and they will not be issued a renewal license until all those issues have been dealt with. So it's kind of we don't let issues persist for too long, and it's been a really successful way to get some of these lingering issues and taken care of.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Your Honor?
Yeah, I have another history story. I seem to be doing these all the time with you folks. 78 years ago, the city of Batavia purchased a fire engine called an American LaFrance. It's made in upstate New York, and it had to be shipped out here on a train, and it went in service in Batavia in November of 1948, and was in service with the Batavia Fire Department for about 70 years. Now, the last few years, it didn't really go on many fires, but it was there to let kids have rides on it, or people have pictures taken with it, or whatever have you. But during its time in Batavia, it was really quite a successful fire engine and put out a lot of fires and did a lot of different stuff. So a few years ago, down in downtown Aurora, they had a big building there called the Cotton Mill. And on Easter Sunday, I believe, of 1966, the cotton mill caught on fire. And so Aurora ran over there and got their trucks out, and they had an identical truck to this one from Batavia. And they parked it too close to the building, and within a few minutes, an electric line fell on the fire truck, and they couldn't then touch it. And before they knew it, the fire truck blew up in the middle of the street and burned. And so there's a lot of pictures of this. So when this was happening, Batavia got called to come to Aurora to stand by in the station downtown Aurora, and there was all this ashes and sparks and debris flying around from this big fire. So there was about 21 times that Batavia's fire truck, in about a 3-hour period in Aurora, responded to little roof fires or things burning in the backyard or whatever have you. So the Aurora Fire Department now has a museum on Broadway in downtown Aurora, and they got the idea that they had another truck kind of like the one that burned up, but they wanted to put in an exhibit about this event and asked us if we would loan them our truck for display at the Aurora Museum. So if you go down there now, the truck is in the Aurora Museum, and somebody in Aurora took it to the degree that they went out and had a small miniature truck made of the truck that burned in Aurora that day was Aurora Engine 3, and the truck from Batavia was Batavia Engine 3. So they made the same truck, and on one side of it, it says Batavia Engine 3, and on the other side, it said Aurora Engine 3. So if you got somebody that's a nephew or something that likes fire trucks, you can get out and buy them a souvenir at the Aurora Museum. But reason I'm sharing this with you, more interestingly, we got contacted by a guy who was working on a history book on fire trucks, and he thought this was a significant enough story that he went out, had us take the truck over next to the Depot Museum, and they took this picture, and this is on the front cover of the book. So we got this. Now, more recently, I get a call from the State Historical Society last week that a country in Africa that I've never heard of has commandeered this picture, and they've copied it and put it on a postage stamp. And now this thing is being sent all over the world with this picture of a Batavia Engine 3 on this postage stamp from Africa. And so it's, in the collector's world, it's become quite a little conversation piece about, Batavia had this, you think about it, Batavia really had it kind of in service in the fire department for almost 70 years. So they certainly had the opportunity to get their money's worth out of it. And so I just thought you should know about this in case somebody wants to ask you about the fire truck that's in the museum, now on the postage stamp and on the front cover of the magazine. It's growing way beyond itself, I think, but it's quite, has a lot of notoriety surrounding it, so I thought the council should know what's going on. And if anybody wants a copy, I made a couple copies on a copy machine if anybody wants to take a copy of the fire truck picture.
Thanks for sharing that. It's very interesting. My question is about community engagement. Has the city council in the past ever had community conversations divided by wards, like come meet your alder people from Ward 4, community chat? I follow the local municipalities in our neighboring towns in West Chicago, St. Charles, Geneva, and Aurora all have often have these chats. And so I'm just curious if that's something that we've done. Can we start that up? Is there interest in council? Kevin and I were able to have one of these chats with the Homestead residents not too long ago, and we loved it. I think, speak for Kevin. It was just great to have so many residents want to meet us, want to talk to us, especially since we're rather new. And just hear their comments and feedback about, what they'd like to see, what they want to continue in Batavia. It was just really important to us, and I think I got a lot out of it. I think we all did. So just curious what has been done in the past, and is that something we can start up?
I think throughout the years, there have been a number of aldermen who have hosted events. I know in Ward 3, meeting with the residents of the Homestead has been done for many, many years. But we are trying to be more intentional about it now. So it began, a few years back with the Taco Tuesday, and then last year we did the all of the aldermen at the farmers market. But this year we put additional money in the budget for engagement opportunities. And so if you would like to plan something in your ward and you have some place that you'd like to do that, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to supplement that with, like if you're at Limestone and you'd like to buy people a cup of coffee to sit down and talk with you, things like that, we can definitely provide you funding to be able to do those things in the future.
Great, thanks.
Historically, it's been pretty spotty. I mean, it's happened on and off. We'll do it, once, twice, and like 5. I can think of probably a handful of them that have been since I've been on the council where it's happened with any kind of regularity.
I definitely notice them in the summer, that's perfect, the farmer's market. But it would be nice since we have 7 months that are cold to engage with the community. Yeah.
Just to piggyback on that, it's a great idea. It'd be nice if we could just plan for one a quarter. To make a regular thing, and for a couple, obviously you always want to encourage the intimacy with our constituents and all that stuff, but the flip side of it is a lot of people don't even know what ward they're in,
right,
or like who they are, or like it's more about, as much about public education as anything else. And we have a very large city council we have to fill these seats on, and nothing hedges our bets that these seats will stay full than to make people aware of kind of what the role is, who we are, what we do. Stuff like that. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
I was just tacking on and saying, we're doing the farmer's market this year. Let's make sure Lori knows that, and that we're putting that out to constituents, Facebook,
sure.
Twitter, et cetera, to be able to know, come out and say hi. Yeah.
Thanks.
Changing topics just a little bit, I do want to make sure to congratulate Kai Enos for winning state wrestling, and I believe his sister won state wrestling as well. It's really quite the accomplishment. I want to make sure.
Isn't wrestled yet? It's this weekend.
Oh, it's this weekend. It's coming up.
But
did I miss? Win last year? I misread that.
Did you win the state championship?
He won. I'm Lily.
Yeah, the brother did.
Yeah, mixing up
That would
Lily.
be the first brother-sister state champions.
I got called on Sunday morning by the athletic director asking if the Batavia Police and Fire Department could escort the bus with the team on it into town. So I arranged for that to happen, and they sent me a thank you afterwards. It was just well received, and everybody was so happy. And so
You might get another one set Sunday.
Yes.
whatever.
Fingers crossed.
Right, Robin? Robin would know. She's affiliated
My
with
daughter's a
wrestling.
co-captain with the girl that's wrestling this weekend for the team. So yeah, she'll be down there with her cheering around.
Good luck to your daughter as well.
She's not competing.
wrestling?
Her season's over.
Okay.
Yeah, but she'll be down there cheering around.
All right.
Motion to adjourn. Okay, we need to go into executive session for purchase of property. Just a little ahead of time. Motion by Salva. Second by Malone. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Take a 2-minute break in the